Let's talk about how numbers push narratives and how to tell if the numbers actually add up. Using numbers is a way to prove something and create credibility, and it's a common tool in political communication and in propaganda. I'm Dr. K, a political scientist who looks at how information is shared. And I'm going to take the next 8 minutes to share what I look at when war numbers are used, whether it be casualty numbers, tank numbers, the amount of aid, or really how many civilians have died. It's easy to manipulate or influence audiences by using numbers. People are getting information from a broader variety of sources on a wide set of platforms in smaller and smaller chunks. And numbers are an easy way to adapt information in short lists, statistics, and infographics. And numbers can communicate a lot. But numbers are not units of truth. And anytime numbers are presented, they need context. Casualty reporting is a powerful tool of war propaganda. Reports of decisive wins or the horrors of war can help win the hearts and minds of domestic and international audiences. Both Russia and Ukraine are said to be losing hundreds of soldiers every day as a result of Russia's invasion. Officials in Kyiv and in Moscow really throw around unverifiable figures about their enemies' losses. Mentioning large numbers of enemies killed is a way to get press coverage, despite the fact these numbers are often presented with no evidence or context about what counts as an enemy or how many of one's own troops were killed. Numbers don't help convey meaning if there is no context. And that's where ratios can help. Instead of reporting that 800 Russian soldiers were killed, you may see some saying that for every 1 Ukrainian, there are 4 Russians that die on the battlefield. But if there's a high discrepancy between the reports on each side, pay attention. Who is in a defensive position? Who is in an offensive position? What does this mean? Military historians also use the U.S. body count reported during the Vietnam War as an example of when the U.S. government used high numbers to prop up a failing war effort. When numbers are mentioned, they're talking about soldiers killed in action or the number of killed and injured. This is something to watch for. In the short term, the numbers mean the same thing. Fewer soldiers on the battlefield in the coming days. Midterm, an injured soldier may return, especially if they are motivated to protect their homeland, or they might not return if they were conscripted or they're a paid prisoner like the Wagner Group is using in Ukraine. Also, who else is reporting the numbers? When a top U.S. general said in November 2022 that chances of any near-term victory for Ukraine were low, while mentioning the deaths of Ukrainian soldiers in the same press conference, many hoped it didn't indicate waning support, either from him personally or from the U.S. Numbers can also be used to support a completely false narrative. In February 2023, Elon Musk retweeted numbers from a fictional Turkish newspaper. The sources pretended to present numbers from Mossad, the National Intelligence Agency of Israel, a country that has national interests tied to both Ukraine and Russia. The misinformation showed death counts of Russian, Ukrainian, and NATO soldiers, leveraging the security service's name to try to indicate that NATO already had boots on the ground by including them in a matter-of-fact list, leading watchers to wonder if Israel had picked sides by reporting numbers that matched the Kremlin's narrative. This was fake news. And if only numbers are talked about, the real story can be lost. After months of waiting, Germany agreed to allow Leopard tanks to be sent to Ukraine. In the first week of February, the German defense minister met with Ukrainian President Zelensky in Kyiv and promised 100 additional Leopard 1 tanks from the German stocks, meaning that nearly 200 Leos, 14 Challengers, and a few dozen Abrams tanks will eventually get to Ukraine. In a numbers comparison, the Russians still have 3 or 4 to 1 tank advantage, but the tanks just aren't about numbers. They represent a long-term commitment from the West towards Ukraine, and for Ukrainians, these modern tanks mean more safety for the tank operator teams, raising both the public's and the soldiers' morale. The green light for these tanks from Germany also puts Germany in the number 2 spot on the leaderboard of support for Ukraine, just behind the United States. You might have heard that Germany is the 3rd largest supporter of Ukraine until now, and you'll hear common numbers about a new topic to add weight when there's communication about it. Also, like the amounts of big pushes when the US Senate approves billions or trillions of spending. Billions and trillions are hard numbers to really understand. People understand smaller numbers, like when 5 rockets hit Kyiv or 20 drones attack a power station in Ukraine. Better understanding means more empathy. And what do these big numbers really mean? The $12 billion for Ukraine from September 2022 can lead people against the support for Ukraine to say that the money should be used in the United States. But that's not how budgets work. And how is the actual amount that's being sent to Ukraine being calculated? Did you know that some of the military support for the US is being measured in the replacement costs for equipment that is aging out? This means that if a first-generation defense system is being sent to Ukraine, the cost of replacing it with a brand new state-of-the-art one for the US military is what's being quoted. Finally, what's the real number for civilian deaths? We still don't know how many people died in the bombing of the Mariupol theater. People living in war zones are killed in their homes, in markets, and on roadways. They've been killed by bombs, bullets, fire, mines, IEDs, and drones. Civilians die at checkpoints. They're run off roads by military vehicles when they step on mines or from cluster bombs, when they're kidnapped and executed for purposes of revenge or intimidation. War causes civilian deaths weeks and months after battles have stopped. It's important to watch for the numbers in war reporting. Hybrid war creates a gray zone between peace and war, and vagueness takes away boundaries that our minds are used to. Numbers are something that seem exact. They create credibility where sometimes there isn't, making numbers a red flag sometimes. So remember, especially in war reporting, there's no perfect number, and numbers aren't units of truth. Will this information change the way you look at war reporting and how numbers are used? Let me know in the comments, and make sure you subscribe to my channel.